What is going on? This is Shango Ray, aka Real Deal Ray. How you doing today? You okay? Are you getting what you need and what you want in this life? Well, good. And if you're not, that's also good too because that can show you where adjustments are made. The name of this video, the title of this video is "You're Carrying, You're Carrying is Cock Blocking You." Okay. Where do I even start with this? It's pretty self-explanatory. The basis of this video is when you care too much, you basically put a barrier between you and the experience of your desire or the experience of being the person who has what you desire. You know what I'm saying? Case in point, especially when it comes to magic, a lot of people, I get a ton of emails all the time, okay? All the time. Um, and it's very obvious, and people actually, to my, like they don't like to hear it, and I get it. And sometimes, for those of you who are um, experienced in the occult or know a thing or two about a thing or two, you know how bad that carrying too much, what it can do to your magic. And it's not just, and I use magic as a loose term because to me, honestly, if you want a piece of toast, and even if you get up and go make the piece of toast, that can be a form of magic to me. You know what I'm saying? Making this reality conform to your will, even though, yes, you took action, you got up and you made yourself the toast, that's still a projection of your will, and you did that. You know what I'm saying? Now, when it comes to caring too much, like I said, I get a lot of questions, and I can just like feel the energy in a lot of the emails. And I can also feel that they're not going to be open or receptive to my advice as far as if I was you. You honestly, let me condense this. If you really want to be have the highest probability of seeing a particular spell or ritual or something like that really come to fruition, really come to pass, as paradoxical as it may sound, you have to be willing to go without it. In other words, what are you talking about, Shango? What I mean is the mindset behind it has to be, if I get it, great. If I don't, great. But a lot of you can't do that because you care too much, and therefore you're energetically heavily leveraged. I was going to title this video, Get Over Yourself. And what I mean by that is you have to find ways that work for you to, number one, kind of be non-attached. Non-attached does not mean you just don't care. It doesn't mean that you're not interested. It just means that your energy is not tied up in a form of like desperation where like this has to go through. And trust me, I get it. I've been in plenty of situations where I was extremely desperate. And sometimes things worked, or they worked kind of shoddy. You know what I'm saying? But all the time when I look back, I can see how when I just did it because it sounded like a great idea or fun, yes, I wanted it. I wanted to experience it. I wanted to be that person who was like this or who had this. But I didn't feel like I had to have it. Okay. There's like a fine line. We live in a world of paradox. Okay. So we can't forget that. Every plus comes with it, stock equipped with a minus, and so forth, and vice versa. It's just the nature of this place. Every up has a down, every left has a right, and every hot will have a cold, and vice versa. Every day has a night. So The point is finding ways. There's a lot of different things one can do, okay? But, and everybody once, I've heard it in person too, and I've heard it in sessions, and I've heard it like, when I say that, there's almost like an automated defense. Like they want to defend their neediness and desperation. I'm like, don't you understand the thing that you're holding on to right now? Or that you're holding on to the desperation of holding on to this thing. And that is going to cock block you. I promise you. Even if I step in, it's going to make it extremely difficult for me. It's like me saying, okay, I'll build you a house and I won't use hammers and saws and shit. I'll use my bare hands. Like that's a lot of wear and tear. So how do you get over yourself? Well, number one, you can get some perspective first and foremost. A lot of times, many people are too close to their situation, their problem, their desire. It's unbalanced almost like unhealthy, in some ways, especially if they're like obsessing over it. If they're obsessing over it, man, that obsessive energy has a particular smell and taste and sound to it that if you know what I'm talking about, then you know what I'm talking about. So you need some type of perspective, i.e., asking questions like, what's the worst that can happen if I don't get this? And do all this shit before you do any magic, because you need to at least, I would say, if you're very desperate, then the best place to do magic from about a particular subject or a particular result is from a neutral place. Fuck even feeling all good and, I already, yes, of course, you're going to get into that place right now, right here, that you already have it and that you already are that person. Because in essence and in actuality, you already are. You're just not experiencing that. Your consciousness is not experiencing that. So by asking questions such as, what is the worst that can happen? Okay, let's say I don't get this, or this doesn't come through, or they don't accept me, or whatever the case. What is the worst that can happen? Well, I'll feel rejected. Well, I'll feel this. I might lose my house. I might this. I might that. Okay. What's the worst that could happen if that happens? And we kind of start going down now. Okay. Now I'm going to interject some other questions. I'm going to uppercut a little bit this way. You know what I'm saying? As far as like, okay, have I ever been in a situation where my back was against the wall and precedence then took over and I turned it around successfully? More than likely, I'm sure that you have. So these are called reference points because you're referencing memories of when you did pull a hat trick or you did pull some shit off. Okay? I mean, there's a lot of different ways. Questions are a very powerful way. What if this challenge right now is actually bringing me closer to my desire, even though I can't see it? If you really stop and think about that shit, that's when it starts to make a difference. If you just go through these things in like an automated robotic response, it's not going to work. Another area is like, especially when you're trying to heal yourself. You care too much. Number one, there's a reason why. Okay, I got this nickname a few years back as the reader's reader. And where that comes from is a lot of different, I don't know how in the hell it happened, but a lot of different readers would come to me. And these were readers who had a lot of people, who had a lot of clients, a lot of people trusted them, but they were smart enough to know that each one of us gets in situations or circumstances where our emotions are too attached to it and you're not going to see clearly, even if you're highly intuitive. Okay? It's just like an attorney. There's an old saying. The attorney who represents himself has a client for a fool. Because more than likely, you're going to blow it because you got too much writing on it. So in some instances, especially for all you spellcasters and readers and shit, and things like that, you kind of almost have to be at that neutral place where, like, it's not that you don't care, but you don't care as to the result. You're interested in getting a positive result. You're very interested in getting a positive result for the client. But you know, if you're too leveraged, if you care too much, if your ego's too much in it, oh my God, I'm gonna look like they're gonna fucking slam me. They're gonna say I don't know what I'm doing and this and that. Now it becomes about you. So that was the other aspect of the get over yourself, because the ego will try and pop up and make it more important because it's going to try and make it about you when it might just be about some other situation. So there has to be ways to get around it. Questions are a very important one. I'm going to give you another freebie though too. You can also write down something on a piece of paper that represents, dial into the feeling of want. Okay, wanting something and appreciating what you have are two very different things. I can appreciate something that I don't physically yet technically own, but I know I do. Versus wanting, which automatically has stirred up in it lack, like I don't have it, it's not mine. I'm not with that. I'm not with this person. I'm not, whatever, just go down the line. It's two different things. And a lot of times in Western culture, we associate them as being the same thing, but they're not the same thing. They are actually very, very different. So you can write down, dial into your want, work on releasing or just letting go of the want aspect. Okay? There's a lot of different ways that you can do that as well. I would even say, like, I can just write a note or write it on a bay leaf or something like that and burn that shit, because you're symbolically and literally burning it. Now, there might be more that floods in and tries to, eventually though, that shit's going to empty out and you're going to be at that neutral place. Forget about trying to be all walking on the clouds and shit. I'm not talking about that. Just get to neutral and you can work from there. That is why, and that is where this, for me, having ways that you can objectify what's in here, getting it out of here, because getting it out of here is a very crucial step in getting over yourself. Example, you write some of your thoughts down, you journal. You write some schematics or a plan, or you write lyrics to a song, or you draw a picture, or whatever was in here that you could not get out. When you write it down, you're actually giving it a physical, concrete form, even though it's probably going to change. You know what I'm saying? But it also gives you that ability to where it's like, okay, yeah, I wrote this shit down. Now I can just stick this in the drawer. It's out of my head. I know I wrote it down. I can kind of release that. It's a physical, literal release. It's like a mental ejaculation. I just wrote it down. It just ejaculated through my hand. You know what I'm saying? No pun intended. But now I can come back later on and look at it. I can let it sleep for a couple days. I can let it cook, simmer for a couple days and come back and check it out. See what I think about it. See if I think anything at all. But that's why I use tools like this. My quantum brew hotdog, okay? And we also have something else coming out tomorrow. Speaking of this, I'm going to take a little segue here. A lot of people have said, yo, I really want the quantum brew hotdog. I want to start working with that. This is a physical gateway. It's a physical hub, okay? Understand this first and foremost. You exist in many ways. You're like a beam of light. Now imagine you have a prism. When the light goes through the prism, you get purple, you get green, you get red, you get all these different colors. But they're not different lights. They're just different densities, different aspects, different frequencies of, perceptible frequencies of that same light. Well, imagine this light as like your grand oversoul, the soul that really is you. And it's going through this prism and splintering off. All these different colors are like different parallel versions of you. You can tap in. If you can conceive it with your mind, there's a reason why you can conceive it with your mind, because it exists somehow, somewhere, on some level. So there are versions of you with that ideal love. There are versions of you who um, have that spiritual maturity, growth, experiences, who have the finances, who have the health, whatever you can think of. And these act like a hub. Okay, through this hub, I can visit any one of the spectrums I want to. They can visit me. We can exchange information. I can get information. I can pull information. Yes, you always see him with money attached to him because we always got money on us. You know what I'm saying? Why the fuck not? And check him out. And I got to tell you, this is getting pretty close to scale. I'm getting pretty close to scale here. You know what I'm saying? He's also ripped the fuck up. Now, but I've had a lot of people say, you know what? I'm really interested, Shungo, in the quantum brew hotdog. But I don't have a lot of privacy. And I'll be damned if somebody sees me with a doll of myself. And to that I say, we bring you this. This is coming out tomorrow. This is the... You want some head? This is the quantum bruja head. These are all tools, right? Imagine now this is basically the head on here, except this is like a portable working effigy and altar in which I commune with the different various aspects of myself, including my astral body. Now, inside the quantum bruja head, this part underneath the white is not going to change. This is a hybrid of a mojo bag and a quantum bruja doll, but it's portable and it's discreet, much like y'all bitches rabbits that you carry around when y'all need to get a little quick fix, and there ain't nothing wrong with it. Okay, but this is for spiritual fixes and physical fixes, because you can use one of these to bring some strapping young stallion, you know, to come straighten that out for you. You know what I'm saying? But this would be how it works. This is what the consecrated part, there's crystals in here, there's specific herbs, and it is custom created for you. Now you see the top part. This is where it gets fun, because this is where I can write out my petitions. Not even petitions, more like commands, because I can command myself. I ain't going to get offended, you know, but I can fill out something and I can fold that up and I can put that in here. Let's say there's a particular stone, and then you just tie that shit up. And I'll do some rabbit ears. I'm not going to tie like, you know, but, and then I can carry this around. I can put, let's say I come across a particular herb. You know what? I like to be more of this. I like to be more of that. What corresponds with that? You know, you can work from the outside in just as like you can work from the inside out. I could put other herbs in here. I can put, like I said, other little crystals, whatever it is I want, right? If there's a command, let's say I'm going to put this in here, and I know already it's going to start germinating in my subconscious mind, because this is an outward representation of my subconscious mind as well. So I could put in here something like, you know, I operate more confidently now. Every moment I'm getting more and more confident. That is like more of a process-oriented affirmation, but it can turn into a confirmation, because you can start literally, if you just look at your day, after you do this, the next day, day after, 3 days later, I bet you can find 1 or 2 incidences where, you know what, I was actually more confident. I actually approached my boss and told them what I wanted. It doesn't matter how they responded. That's not the important part at this point. If I'm looking for confidence, maybe, no, I didn't sit there and strike up a conversation with somebody that I'm interested in. I mean, like, sat there, maybe I pulled out too early, but the fact is I actually went up and I actually got over myself and just said something, and I normally wouldn't have. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe now I've actually started taking process steps to actually start this business, because I wasn't confident enough, but now I know, yes, I'm going to make mistakes. Yeah, I'm going to have some setbacks. And I'm going to learn some things. It's all feedback to get me to my greater goal. But now I've actually gotten started to whereas before I couldn't get started. So there's a lot of different things you can do. And of course, you anoint this part of the bag or the back of this part, not the face, the back of this part. And then you can just fold this up and carry this around very discreetly. You don't have to worry about anybody, if they see it, hey, who gives a fuck, right? What people think about you is not your business. I hate to break it to you, but it's the truth. So these are examples of tools that we have had to come up with and create for ourselves first and foremost, because we do take our own medicine first and foremost, okay? We're not going to tell you something that we're not doing or haven't done extensively. I mean, there are times where you do something for a while and then maybe you take a break from it. But yes, I got some experience there, or whatever. But these are tools that I actively use. Me personally, I use the fuck out of mine all the time. And there's more and more new and exciting avenues and more adventures that I can have. I can just use this as a focal point. And it's like I'm going through a galaxy now. And wherever depending on what my intention is, I can meet up with a version of myself who can either impart some information or who can begin almost a download of a skill set. Now, yes, me in this dimension, I'm still going to have to do certain things, but you'll be surprised how fast certain things start to pick up that normally wouldn't pick up. That's all I'm saying. And sometimes you'll be surprised. It's almost like you've seen that movie where the dude forgot he had amnesia, but he could fight and he didn't know how he learned how to fight and do all this shit. It just started coming through like that. Sometimes it can be like that as well. I mean, shit, when I first grabbed a pack of cards years ago, it was almost like that. I did get in my own way at first because I kept saying, oh, I have to remember this. Oh, I have to do this. Oh, I have to, you know what I'm saying? And I would get in my logic and my ego. I'm going to look stupid. What if I do this and the person says, no, that ain't right? Then I'm going to feel like I can't do this. Fuck that. I can do this. I am doing this. You know what I'm saying? That's just it. People lie. I've told people shit and they've been like, no. And then they come back later and say, you know what? At first I was mad. I didn't like what you said, but you know what? You were spot on and I lied to you and I apologize. And I'm like, I know. But anyways, you got to get creative, peeps. You got to get creative, man. But you can get over and around this. The more you do, the more you practice getting over these they're only big inside your own head, man. And I know sometimes it's hard and there's different situations and there's different things, especially number one, when it's involving yourself. But I would even say this to you parents out there, when it's involving your kids or something around your kid. That's why I like having a house situation, people are going to, and more people are going to be in that situation too, where they may lose their place where they're living and stuff like that. And if you get caught up in that, sometimes though that desperation will get you up off your ass and get you into moving and taking steps. And through that action and momentum, now you start tuning like a guitar or something. You start tuning your frequency. There's so many different ways to tune your frequency. It ain't just sitting there in a lotus position like that. There's a whole lot of ways. Like I said, there's outside in and there's inside out. And there's the above to below and the below to the above, Like I said, these are just tools. But they're fucking awesome tools. They're wonderful fucking tools. And this one right here, I use this in conjunction. But I use this so much and honestly, I'm at the house a lot. I'm a homebody. So, and plus there ain't nobody that, it's going to be viewing my shit that don't need to view it, and if there was, oh well, this is what it is. Okay, come on. I'm not embarrassed of my shit. This is what I do. This is a part of what I do. I'll say it like that. It's not the totality, but it's a part. But my point is, find tools. At the very least, you got a piece of paper and a pen. You can use that. But get over yourself, all right? And let it happen, okay? You got it. Capiche?